Birds of Prey number 20, written by Christy Marks, art by Romano Molinar. So last issue, we found out that Starling betrayed the team, and she is working with Mr. Freeze. This issue just kind of stays in place, but explains it ever so slightly more. So Black Canary is our narrator, as always, and she's just like, I work on Black Op teams, and they always tell you never, ever trust people, because you'll always get betrayed. I guess I just never expected it from this. And then we see, yes, it's actually true, Starling standing off the side. Strix is completely frozen in ice. Everyone else is kind of just standing around at the moment. And Black Canary reasons out like, okay, Batgirl's standing closest to Strix. She'll find a way to get her out of that. I just need to stall for time. So she calls out Starling and just like, how could you set us up, Starling? How long have you even been working with Mr. Freeze? And she's like, this is just temporary. This is just recently. But we go way back. I owed him, he owed me. And right now he just called in a favor. And we see Batgirl starts melting out Strix as best she can. Meanwhile, the Court of Owls scientists are just kind of standing in the back like, should we go? Should we leave? I don't know. So Starling explains how Freeze had his tech stolen by the Court of Owls for their talons and he wanted payback or whatever. And she tries to reason out like, look, you guys hate the Court of Owls. Freeze hates the Court of Owls. We're all on the same side here. It's just against the Court of Owls. And they're like, no, that's not really how that works. You stabbed us in the back. Like, you betrayed us here. And she's like, no, we're working together against the Court of Owls. That's what we're trying to do here. So, yeah, no, we're still on good terms, unless you make it weird. And, of course, at that point, they say, like, no, we'll never work with Mr. Freeze. And Starling's like, okay, well, Batgirl's probably almost broken out Strix. So, Mr. Freeze, could you please refreeze them again? And so she gets refrozen again. The scientists finally bail in all the hecticness. They try to run out. Starling tries to shoot the scientists as they run out. Condor uses his telekinetic ability to move the bullets out of the way. And then it's just a big fight scene. So it's Starling versus Batgirl. And they just go at each other, punching each other. And then Condor and Canary go after Freeze, and he just makes a big wall of ice to keep them away as he goes after the scientists. So at that point, we see the fight between Starling and Batgirl is basically Batgirl saying like, you're a traitor, and Starling's like, yeah, and I'm doing this because I know who I am. Like, I don't care what you have to say about it. So then we see Condor's trying to use his ability to break through the ice. It's not working, so he says, you gotta use a canary cry. And she says no, because of course she's afraid of using her ability anymore. And Condor's like, oh, don't worry about me. I can easily take care of it. And she's like, no, the shrapnel from the ice could hurt you. Anyway, I brought along thermite, because I figured Mr. Freeze, let's just use thermite. And Condor calls him out like, I can help you. I know you're afraid of losing control. And she's like, let's focus on just using the thermite. So they set off the bombs. It melts through the ice. And then we see the scientists had made their way down into a stairwell. And they say, we got to warn the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster of the court. Got to call him. So they call him up and they say, hey, Mr. Freeze is here. Strix showed up. There's it's a lot of issues going on. And the Grandmasters are like, oh, did you say Strix? Did you say married to the defective one? Yeah, go ahead and keep her there. I'll be in touch. And they're like, we're trying to leave, man. But he hangs up. At that point, Mr. Freeze shows up and threatens the female scientist. And she's just like, you have no right. We may have taken your research, but we've expanded upon it 100-fold. Your stuff is barely even useful anymore. And he's like, that's fair. So tell me how you managed to revive them. And they're like, well, we're not going to tell you that. That's our research. And he's like, oh, so now you care about that stuff. So he takes the female scientist and says, tell me it or I'm going to freeze your eyes out of your socket. And then he gets a bit overzealous and does it anyway. And the other scientist is like, you killed her. And he's like, oops, my bad. Well, luckily there's another one of you. Tell me how you do it. And he says, the key is a metal alloy. It's called electrum. And he's like, Cool. Tell me everything about Electrum. And so we don't see that conversation happen, but he tells Starling, like, hey, I got what I needed. Let's go to the rendezvous point. So immediately Starling starts trying to bail. The entire team tries to hold her back, but she manages to slip away. And as she's making her way down a hallway, Canary's like, oh God, I gotta use my power to stop her. I hope this doesn't kill anybody. And so she uses Canary Cry. The whole tunnel comes down, but it looks as though she's made it through unscathed. And so they're like, crap, all right, well, let's start using more thermite. And then they look over at Strix, who's still frozen. And Batgirl's like, hey, if you use your Canary Cry, you could just break her out. And Canary's like, I also could shatter her into a million pieces. And Batgirl reminds her, you just used like a full powered one. You probably don't have that much energy. Just do it right now, real quick. And she's like, all right, I mean, sure, whatever. So she uses it. Strix gets free. And Batgirl's like, I'm going to take her out into the sun so she can warm up. You guys try to go after Starling as best you can. And we don't follow them. We follow Batgirl, who makes her way up onto a rooftop, and Strix starts coming to. And then all of a sudden, a shadow's cast over them. And turns out it's Calvin Rose, the rogue Talon from the book Talon. He's here because he has a gripe against the Court of Owls as well. So, to be fair, I like that book, and I am okay with it crossing over into Birds of Prey, especially with Christy Marks now at the helm, because I really actually like the way she's directing this book in that, it makes sense. So, I mean, I just enjoyed the issue. I think that it didn't do much of anything. I think it basically everything in the plot of this book could have been handled in maybe 3 pages of you betrayed us, Mr. Freeze got more info, and then they left the building. That's all that really happened. So kind of a bit too decompressed for me, but it still is an okay issue. Overall, I'm going to give it a 6. And I know that sounds harsh after what I just said, but it's also, I'm kind of getting tired of Black Canary being like, oh no, my power, I can't, what will I ever do? I could hurt people with a superpower. Yeah, you can. Every superpower comes with the thing of it could hurt somebody. Get over it. It's just being stretched a bit too thin here. I want her to move past this, but I'm sure that'll come sooner rather than later. So for now, it's a 6.